Hi, Mark Donovan from HomeEditionPlus.com. Today I'm installing new cabinets in our laundry room. So yesterday I actually removed the old cabinets and you'll see here on the wall this board. It's actually what they call a ledger board. And I attached it just prior to removing the upper cabinets. And I did this for a couple reasons. One, it assisted me in actually holding the old cabinets in place as I removed the screws, so they just didn't slide down the walls once I removed the last screw. But more importantly, this ledger board represents where I want the bottom portion of the new upper cabinets to rest on. And so that's going to help with the installation. I can literally rest the new cabinets on that ledge or ledger board, and then literally just fasten the new cabinets to the wall with some screws. Once the cabinets are all installed, I can remove this ledger board, and any holes I can either fill in, or in the case what I'm going to do, I'm going to wind up putting tile between the upper cabinets and lower cabinets, so those holes aren't going to be visible to anyone when I'm done. Alright, we're going to need to put a spacer or a filler for the edge of the cabinet so that the door opens all the way. And so what I've done here, I found out that the wall is crooked, which most of the time they are. So I need to figure out how to cut this trim piece so that in the end that cabinet is perfectly square and I get a nice tight piece of filler board between the wall and the cabinet. So what I've done is I use this scrap piece of material, and using my level I've drawn a line the thickness that I want, and I've kept the level straight, and I've gone up and I've made a mark along here. I then used this board as an extra extension to allow me to ensure that this trim filler piece will be nice and square or level, and then I've just simply gone up with my pencil and scored it. And what I've got here, as you see, instead of going straight up with this initial cut or initial mark, I'm actually going to cut out here to accommodate the crookedness of this wall. So I'm going to go cut this with a chop saw and a table saw to get this piece. And what I'm just going to use here is this is going to be just a template to make sure that everything looks good. If this looks good, then we'll use a nice fine piece of material, filler material, and cut it to the same dimensions. So here is the filler board that I've just attached to the side of the cabinet, upper cabinet, that's going to abut the wall. And again, I basically had to trim it in such a way that it's a little thicker at the top versus at the bottom. And you saw in the previous segment how I went about measuring to make that cut. And I cut it with the table saw freehand, and it came out quite nice, quite good. On this side, you can see how I used 3 screws to pull it together. I drilled pilot holes. I also used a slightly larger bit so the head would sit flush inside the cabinet. So now we're at the stage where we can lift up the cabinet, put it in the ledger board, and fasten it to the wall with some screws. To make my life easier when I go to actually fasten the cabinets to the wall, I've transposed the nail locations, measuring with my tape measure, to the actual cabinet itself, using a combination of my square, my level, and again my tape measure, to put marks in the cabinet at various locations where the nail hole should go, or the screws should go, to make sure I hit wall studs when I actually hang the shelf. So you can see the filler board is quite flush with the wall, but a little gap we do have in a couple places, a little bit of a seam right there. We'll just caulk that, and that won't be noticeable. So at this point we're ready to move on and install the next one. And since I've made sure that this first one was nice and square and level, the next one should abut it nice and easily and clean with a tight seal, and all we do is basically just fasten that to the wall, and then we will tie the 2 units together with a couple screws on the inside between the 2 units, just to make sure that it's a nice tight seam between the 2 cabinets. So for the next shelf, again, what I'm doing is I'm measuring where the nail holes are, and I'm going to transpose that information onto the cabinets, inside the cabinets. Again, using my tape measure and my square and my level. So that does it for the upper cabinets. They went in fairly easy, other than the filler piece that had to be installed, which is always kind of a pain in the neck to do. The project went fairly well, fairly fast. Was able to hit the studs well by transcribing the marks on the wall to the back of the cabinet and putting some pencil marks so I knew where to put the screws in. And so we'll come back in the next couple days and finish the bottom cabinets there. So stay tuned. I'll probably end this video here. If you like this video, make sure to click on the like button and subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell and you get notification when the second part of this video comes out with the base cabinets installed.